All right. Yes. So we would try to cover a few things around the metaverse and how you could build a business around the metaverse. Firstly, you'll get started off with a brief introduction. We'll then get into what are the technologies supporting the metaverse. We'll try to discuss some business models that are prevalent around the metaverse and some of the more easier business models to tackle, and also look at how we could monetize on these business models. A little bit around the technology in terms of how do you go about building and designing a metaverse or metaverse based services. Uh, we'll then look at the marketing and some legal and regulatory issues or concerns that people have when coming to the metaverse, and probably look at a few case studies as we go along with each of these aspects. Right. Before getting into the topic of the day, I'll just introduce myself. I am Nihar Madkaiker. I uh, I co-founded the organization IXR Labs, and in the past, I have worked with a lot of immersive technology based organizations in different roles, where I headed things such as the product to projects and even to innovations on the metaverse front. Right. So you can see more people joining in. Yeah. So while I also worked with some of the while I was working with some of the organizations, I had a chance to consult other organizations who happen to be our clients or in a freelance capacity on how they could implement immersive technologies for uh, some of their operational training, learning and development, or educational aspects of the business. So I had the chance to work with organizations such as the defense services through DRDO, as well as the education side of things with through publishers like Pearson, Oxford, and even industrial setups like Adani, Ultratech, and Dalco, etc. Coming back to what we do, IXR Labs, we focus purely on the higher education space. That's a niche that we are currently focusing on, higher education. And within higher education, we specifically focus on engineering, medical, and MSc, BSc, or science graduate courses. So we build learning products based on the whole metaverse technologies, specifically virtual reality at the moment. We were one of the organizations who were picked out by Meta as well as one of the participants in their Meta XR startup program, which they launched last year. So Meta is looking to enter the Indian market as well in the coming few years, as well as it is also looking to. Uh, it is one of the large players in the whole XR segment. So we are lucky enough to work closely with them through their XR startup program. We were picked out last year by Starters Insights. It's a AI-based analytics organization which picks out the top organizations across sectors. So we were picked out in the virtual reality startup space globally. Uh, and we started off in 2020. Last year, we raised our first seed round at the end of last year, which is December, and now we are further. And this was more to do with like building or scaling up our product and marketing efforts. And we are continuing to grow further with further rounds of investments planned to come in through the year as well. Right. So diving in, what is the metaverse? So I think I'll go as per the definition shared by and through this book specifically, this book written by Matthew Ball, who is one of the thought leaders in the metaverse space. Matthew Ball, by profession, is a venture capitalist who has invested in a lot of metaverse-based startups. And what he defines metaverse to be, and I think specifically what we need to understand is that there is only one metaverse. So when you refer, and This is a mistake that I will also make through the webinar as well, and we continue to make, is we refer to, let's say, multiple metaverses. But the idea is that it would be one whole metaverse. So the idea is it's the metaverse. So the metaverse would be a collection of virtual spaces integrated with your virtual life as well. So the idea is that it is one whole interconnected world between the virtual and the physical world. Now, this would enable you to take care of a lot of aspects of your life. The idea is that, and the idea that a lot of the large organizations are betting for, is that it takes care of all aspects of your life. But other than your biological and physical processes of life, uh, I'm pretty sure, and the world is also pretty sure, that they could encompass all other aspects of your life, be it social activities, work, education, entertainment. All of it would be in a virtual space and very closely interacted with the real life that you live. If we look at it, how mobile phones have pervaded our life and have become a key part of our life, we it is not far-fetched that this could become a reality. I mean, if we look at 20 years back or 15 years back, no one would have thought that mobile phones would become a so omnipresent part of your life. You would be having them at each and everything that you do in your life. If you're cooking, if you're in the washroom, if you're driving, mobile phone is there with you. So it's not far-fetched that you would be connected to a virtual world in which you will continue to live your life, and the lines between real and what is virtual will disappear. The metaverse is very different from the underlying technologies. I mean, virtual reality, augmented reality are ways to connect with the metaverse, but they are not the metaverse. The metaverse would contain a lot more other things. A metaverse would contain a lot more other aspects to it, beyond just being the technology or the hardware or the code that works around it. So just diverging into one of the other aspects is, in the current state of time, we interact with lot of things in silos. So we'll interact with the finance apps separately. We'll interact with the social media separately. We'll interact with our PC or gaming platforms or virtual reality in silos. The idea for the metaverse is that everything is combined. Everything is interconnected. Your finance app, your social media, everything is in one virtual world. Within the virtual world, you might have different functionalities. For, let's say, banking, you would go to a virtual bank, etc. But everything is interconnected. So you wouldn't be looking at a few or multiple different avenues to go to. I would just touch upon one more thing. So again, elements of a metaverse. What are the elements that are there that we are looking at? We are looking at the whole workplace, online shopping, social media, digital humans, where you would be able to interact with other people in form of digital humans, uh, digital assets, gaming, device independence is another aspect, that your metaverse won't be dependent on the device through which you are accessing it through. It might be a laptop, phone, etc. Everything is interconnected. So as we saw in the previous slide, everything interacts with the same thing. Uh, it would have its own digital currency marketplace and digital commerce. I think that's the core part of the whole thought, that your currencies that work in the real world also work similarly in a virtual world. So I think that's the whole aspect or thought behind having digital currencies, or even if you look at cryptocurrency or digital assets. So the same kind of tracking and same kind of infrastructures that are required for currencies in a real world would be present in a virtual world. And there are a number of metaverse related players in the world. I mean, this is, if we just capture a few of the top ones and this is trying to capture a few of the top ones in one image. Uh, you can look at how big the market already is, how many people are already in the space doing a lot of different aspects or working on a lot of different aspects within the metaverse space. And this is probably just a small section of the market that is there. Yet, I think it's a good time to enter the market. There are a lot of opportunities still. And why am I saying so? We'll look at what the projections or predictions are. So the specific thing that I'm showcasing is what is referred to as a hype curve. Gartner is a market research organization that, or a technology research organization that every years publishes what it refers to as a hype cycle. So the hype cycle shows what are those technologies that are getting innovated upon in current day's time. So this is what is referred to as an innovation trigger. There's a lot of innovation happening in these areas. These technologies would continue to grow into what is called a peak of inflated expectations. Here, what happens is these technologies are at an extreme peak in terms of the kind of fundings they see, the kind of expectations they have, the kind of research that is going on. And then they fall into something of a trough of disillusionment where you realize, okay, what are the real use cases that these technologies would work on? And in the few and it then goes into a slope of enlightenment and a plateau of productivity where you start seeing the returns. This is the area where you start making the most returns out of these technologies. They become a key part of your whole life and ecosystem. So what we see here is Metaverse is one of the technologies, digital humans is another technologies that is there in the innovation space. So there is a lot of opportunity for innovation for new organizations to come up and develop the space. As you can see that in more than 10 years, in a 10 years time period, they would be hitting the plateau of productivity. So in the next coming 10 years, metaverse and digital human technologies will become very key aspects of your life. There are a lot of other related technologies that are mentioned here. You can see super apps, Web3, then you have decentralized identities, NFTs, etc., which are going to hit the plateau of productivity much faster before the metaverse comes into play. And that is because these are the foundational technologies. So any time before the trough of disillusionment is a good time to get into the space, start something new. Because if you do invest your time and money, there are chances that either two things will happen to you. One is you will either innovate something such that you become a market leader and that get into then hold your fort till it reaches productivity, or you get acquired by a larger player because you have seen it early enough that there is a chance you can get acquired by a larger player who wants to then enter the market. But if you enter too late, if you enter a market when the technology reaches slope of enlightenment or is in the trough of disillusionment, there are chances that it is difficult to now stake a claim or make a significant impact on the market because there are already a large number of players in the space. Larger players have already bought out smaller players. So it becomes a competitive market at that point of time, and you can't grow in the way you would like to grow, or you won't be able to stake a claim for yourself. So any technology that is in before the trough of disillusionment is a good time to get in on the hype cycle, especially if you are starting off fresh, because there are a lot of things and these curves move very fast. I mean, while they say 10 years, the peak of inflated expectation in nowadays is reached within a couple of years. So you won't be wasting a lot of time in time and resources or a large significant part of your life on a technology that might not give you the return. So in a couple of years, you will realize how it is going to go, and you would be able to make an exit if you would like to. So if you look at the technologies that were this was back in 2017, and this was back when I had just started working the technologies with these technologies. AR, VR were already starting to reach the plateau of productivity and were hitting the trough of disillusionment. So at this point of time, the technologies had become mature enough that you could start developing something commercial on those technologies. While a lot of the core research was done, the technologies were starting to consolidate at that point of time. So looking at AR, VR in its purest form, there are probably at this point of time too many players out in the market. If you look at AR, VR in its pure form. But if you look at Metaverse and its underlying technologies where you integrate AR, VR, and all of these other aspects with the whole social aspect, I think there is a lot of opportunity in that sense. If you look at the hardware market, it also gives you an indication of where things are supposed to go. Since AR, VR hardware would be the ones who would drive adoption for the metaverse, we can see that in the next 3 years, they are pegged to grow in terms of the adoption by the mass market. So there would be greater demand for content on in the AR, VR headset space because the headset space would also grow by itself. Now, what are the use cases? Again, a large part of the use cases are enterprise sector use cases. The consumer segment is also a significant player as well, but the consumer space is largely dominated by entertainment at this point of time. It's the enterprise or B2B side of things that's doing a lot more on the commercial aspects, which is your healthcare, engineering, real estate, education, etc., are B2B offerings at the moment. Consumer space is something that is yet to mature and probably will mature only in the next 3-4 years time, where hardware becomes more accessible and easier to use for people. So yeah, uh, I guess we got into why this space needs to be considered and what the predictions are rather for the future. Uh, I would be happy to take up any questions if there are at this point of time on what we have covered. You could unmute yourself and just give it a go if you have anything. Right. So in case of no questions, I will get into why you need to get into the metaverse. I mean, we covered a part of this already. Uh, you can establish an early mover advantage in the space. So there are limited entrants in the market at the moment. So you can despite the number of entrants that I showed you in that one slide, it is still an early stage. So you can establish a significant early mover advantage. And if we only speak about the domestic Indian markets, it's even a greater advantage to get into it at this point of time because the market is just going to grow, especially domestically. The challenge that has there been with the domestic market is none of the hardware players have entered the market in a formal sense. So they don't have their formal presence in India. They distribute it through distributors and other organizations. So a lot of the hardware players would also formally enter the Indian market at the end of this year or start of 2024. So that's another opportunity for the Indian market specifically because the domestic market is going to boom once the hardware player makes a significant presence or a flow in of capital into the domestic market. So within India, you would have even a greater early mover advantage as against global. Diverse applications, so there is a huge range of applications that you can get into, right from healthcare to gaming and everything in between. So there is no dearth of applications where you could be applying this technology to. There's a chance to explore a few different and unique business models, something that has not existed in the past, for example, virtual real estate. And this is something that I'll touch upon in the business model segment. And it's a very interesting way to enter the metaverse business. I mean, it would be quite unique in its nature. There are low barriers to entry, as I spoke about at the moment, because the kind of technology and kind of tools required to build upon the metaverse are already in a mature phase. It's just the whole underlying concept that is growing. Yeah, I think coming back to adding on to the previous slide, I think a few more things to look at is beyond just the offerings, the kind of technology partners. So these are the hardware players that are prominent. You have Oculus, Vive, Samsung, and very soon Apple would also make its play into the hardware market. Uh, you have developer tools. I think Unity and Unreal are the largest players in the market for the developer tools. But I think Nvidia and even Google, Microsoft, etc., are building their suites to help developers to build upon the metaverse technologies. And further, with looking at with artificial intelligence come into play, and NVIDIA working upon generative AI, where you can generate 3D models using a artificial intelligence engine, that would make it even more easier for people to start developing things in the metaverse space. This refers to even getting even deeper into the tech, looking at the components and the cloud infrastructure that comes into play. You have things like AWS, Azure, that is used by the development and management side of things for the technology. You have global and map data also coming into play. I mean, if you look at geolocated AR or geolocated artificial intelligence, augmented reality, that also becomes a key part of the whole technology. Now, getting into what are the, so this segment of the discussion would be slightly technical. We would cover some of the technical aspects of how do you develop for the metaverse or virtual reality specifically, and what are the kind of tools and what are the kind of processes that are followed and you need to follow to basically make a significant advantage for you in terms of the operation side of things. So for metaverse or VR development, you would require these five aspects. One specific thing that you require first is what is called a game engine. So Unity, Unreal, these are game engines in which your whole user experience is built. This would be the front end for your metaverse experience. The 3D models and designs that are used in this game engines are done in design, prototype, and 3D modeling tools such as Max, Maya, Blender, etc., which are fed into the game engine. Now, you could use a lot of generative AI tools now as well to design and create 3D models like NVIDIA's 3D modeling AI. Uh, you would then be working on certain target hardwares and headsets that and accessories that you would be using. So this could be, let's say, your AR, VR glasses, etc. Uh, and you would require a computing hardware as well to play. So now a lot of the metaverses can be experienced through the web as well. But again, they take a lot of computing power. So it's probably a case that it would be difficult to make it accessible to all and would continue to remain niche for a while before till the time things get optimized enough such that they are able to run, let's say, on the web or any one mobile phone. Additionally, and this is probably more of a barrier than a tool at the moment, there are what are called SDKs for each of the manufacturers. So if you're working with Oculus, Oculus will have its own SDKs. If you're working with HTC, if they would have their own SDKs. If you're working on the web, then there are specific SDKs for different kinds of devices. So those SDKs need to be considered as a part of your whole development process because this would hamper interportability and operability. So something that runs on HTC may not run on Oculus. So how do you ensure that it is porting across devices? So now there are tools and there are SDKs that are coming up which allow interoperability. Like OpenXR is one of them, which allows people to work on be device agnostic specifically at the moment. What is the process? And this is a process that we tend to follow internally as well. And this is something that we do to ensure that we are making the best use of the technology in an efficient way. Uh, And earlier we have not followed this process, and if you do not follow this process, there are certain pitfalls. I mean, this is not the process to follow, but this is one is a good process to keep in mind. As if you don't follow a process, there are chances that you would be experiencing high operational costs. It would be very difficult for you to, let's say, make optimal use of your team and the resources that are there, because the way the technology works and how things are developed, it can be difficult to go back and fix things if you made a mistake at the very core foundation of things. So the first stage specifically talks about determining the usefulness of VR, or let's say the technology. So if you come up with an idea that, okay, I'm going to do an X thing, if I'm going to build, let's say, an application for real estate in virtual reality or real estate on the metaverse, you first need to evaluate what is the usefulness of the technology. What is it that you are trying to, what are those objectives that you want to achieve? So define and specify those objectives and determine the objectives that need to be in a 3D or a virtual world. There might be certain superficial objectives that you have for having that app that might not be fulfilled in 3D. And if they are not fulfilled in 3D, it is best to not address those objectives at all in that specific application that you're working on, because you might be spending a lot of resources on achieving something that can be achieved without the use of this technology. The second stage is understanding the technical design for the technologies. This is basically understanding what sort of realism that you want to have. Now, if anyone of you has worked on has experienced virtual reality, if you look at virtual reality content, a lot of it does not seem extremely real. I mean, there are certain that it is kind of what we refer to as stylized 3D models. Now, this is done because the hardware and the technologies or the tech has its restrictions. So if you try to create something that looks extremely realistic, there is a chance that you might be spending too much resources in something that is not worth it. You further try to understand what kind of interactions that you want to have. So again, going back to the VR for real estate example, you can have somewhere where you can have certain interactions where you're able to move around the environment and see. You can probably change the color of the walls, etc. But probably you are not giving interactions that, okay, I can increase the size of the wall, or I can build a bigger wall, or I can drill a hole in the wall, or something of that sort, because that probably is an unnecessary interaction that does not fulfill any objective that you're looking at. And once you have identified these things, you probably select the most adequate hardware and software environment that you would working on. And if you've gotten these two stages right, I think the next couple of stages are very easy post that. I mean, you won't be requiring to go back to these stages if you've gotten things right till this point of time. So here you would start with your development of VR, where you do the modeling of the virtual world, program the interactivity, evaluate it, and identify what are the things that can be improved, and you run a few cross cycles here. So this would be your sprints and uh, planned sprints that you would be running in development, and until you come out with a ready to use virtual reality application. So this loop is run multiple times. So if we talk about any projects that we have delivered in the past, you end up running this loop at least 4 to 5 times till you have a user ready application to use. So what kind of team do you need, or what kind of processes are required along the way to develop? And this is specifically core on the development part. You require a subject matter expert. So you would require someone who's an expert in the field that you're working in. So if it's real estate, you'll probably want someone who is a interior designer or an architect to guide you in terms of what kind of visuals you need to put together. So this stage is what is referred to as a storyboarding stage. Here you create the storyboard and you storyboard the entirety of the project out. You storyboard each and every step that the user would be doing. So it becomes an extremely crucial stage again. So if you get anything wrong at the storyboarding stage, it's probably that you are running more loops and more cycles. Once the storyboard is created, you create the 3D model. So you need someone who's in the 3D modeling, who's a 3D modeler. So basically someone who's experienced in Max Maya Blender. And then you need to do something called an environment and project setup. And now, usually, this is a step that most people avoid. They directly go from 3D modeling to development. Why this step is important is this is the step where you can beautify things. You can make it more user friendly. You can create a better experience for the user. And this is what most organizations, most people try to skip, and this is it hampers the quality adversely. So this is a tech artists are the one who are very crucial for the project. Now tech artists are usually developers themselves, but they usually have a better understanding of design and 3D modeling or 3D environments, etc. So they are developers, but who have trained or gotten skilled in that sense. So they become a key part of your whole role. And then it goes into development. So here you have your game developer who is a Unity and Unreal development, and you then have someone who does your software developer who does your integrations with Node, Java, or if you are having something based on the server, you would have someone who would work with AWS, Azure, etc. to ensure that everything is deployed in a right fashion. And then you push it to quality engineering and testing. Now, within this, there are two stages which cost you the most, the tech artist and the game developer. These two are the ones that cost you the most. So you can have developers with as low as would be costing you as low as 15,000 a month to start off with at a fresher level. But real experienced developers who are in the market for, let's say, more than 5 or 6 years, who are doing your core and hard bulk work of the development front would cost you over a lakh per month. So that's the benchmark that they have set for the industry. And because there is a dearth of really good game developers and tech artists in the market, people who are really experienced in this space. So some of our team members who are experienced in this technology for now almost 10, 12 years, while the technology itself is 10, 12 years in its age itself. So they have been with the technology from the start of it. They are extremely costly and expensive resources. So it is very important that you use them efficiently. It's in fact an opportunity for some of the new developers who are getting into the market as freshers. Probably at this point of time, you would probably not draw too much in terms of package, but as you grow along and if you stay with the technology for long enough, you can make a significant dent in the market and you can fetch like extremely high packages as we go along. So these are the two most cost intensive and critical part of your team, the tech artists and the game developers. Uh, I'll just go through this quickly. These are certain guidelines and good practices that you would follow when developing these technologies. It largely talks about how you can ensure that you have something which is human centric. Uh, there are chances that if you create something or develop something in VR, because it's an immersive experience, people might get uh, affected by the things that you develop. So it is important that you follow certain good practices, like how do you beautify things, or how do you keep it human centric. Or there is something what is called as cyber sickness. Cyber sickness is sickness that you is a kind of a motion sickness is one of the cyber sicknesses that is there that you can get by experiencing virtual reality. So it is important that you follow certain practices where you try to ensure that the user is engaged in a good way. Right. Getting into the business models now, the next segment purely focuses on the business aspects and monetization for the metaverse. And probably this would be the most interesting part for some of the entrepreneurs on the call. So there are a few business models that are out in the market that can be taken up. And I'll go through them from right to left, in fact. The first, or probably I'll start off with development services. This is the easiest one to get into. Development services refers to building custom metaverse offerings. So here, let's say you would approach an organization, would say that, okay, I want to build a metaverse for myself. So I want to build something where users can come and experience my offerings in the metaverse. So here you are creating a custom metaverse for people. So this is one of the business models, and this is the easiest one to get into. You just need to know how to develop things, how to develop the tech, and you would be able to offer your services to anyone. So you can just build something up for your clients. So here you probably, other than your skills, other than the hardware on which you would do the development, etc., your investment is almost zero. You don't need anything to invest in from your end. The other is building metaverse products. Now, these are products that you built and you offer these products. Now the challenge, and there is a challenge with the development services side that I'll try to cover first before getting into products. This is not scalable. So once you build a metaverse for, let's say, one customer, you can't sell it to a second customer because that's the IP and the ownership of that product is with the first customer. So you need to start again from scratch for your second customer. So other than the experience of building it the first time, your efforts are not scalable. So you can't scale it up, scale the services up. You need a bigger team. So if you want to handle two customers at a time, you would need twice the team. So if you want to handle, let's say, 10 customers, you would need 10x the team to ensure that the customers are serviced well. So that's while it is easy to get into it, its cons are that it's not scalable. Hence, you won't see people investing as in investors and venture capitalists pouring a lot of money in the development services side. You then have the metaverse product side. Here you build productized offerings. Now, productized offerings are once you have created a product, you can distribute and scale it up to as many users as you want. Other than a team to support the technology and support the product and keep improving the product, you don't need a team for one person for each of your customers, right? So the customers can be onboarded and they are free to use your product. So here it's open end. Here it's the market is open for you in terms of distributing your product as and as much as you like. The challenge here is you need to invest time, effort, and money to build the product up. So that is your investment. So if the product fails, you are going to lose that time and money. So it's a risk that you need to evaluate and see if your product is well defined for well suited for the market that you're planning to target, and then get into it. You would also have to spend on building the marketing and the branding for your product. So that again becomes a cost and capital head for you. So this is another reason why you would see very few people in the metaverse product space, but a lot of people in the development services space because, again, as I said, easy to get into. But metaverse product space is scalable. I mean, you can scale up globally. You can scale up as fast as possible. So these are scalable technologies, scalable offerings that you can build here. Now, the other is metaverse tools. Metaverse tools is something similar to products, but these tools are helping people to navigate and become more effective on using the metaverse. So I think that's one challenge that people face at the given point of time is they don't know how to use and access the metaverse. People don't know how to create things for the metaverse. So people don't know, let's say, how am I going to build a virtual reality module? So metaverse tools are products that would offer and help people navigate and become more effective on the metaverse. The benefit for building in this space is that people who are already using the metaverse or people who aspire to get onto the metaverse would go through your tools. So it is you don't need to, let's say, market the requirement to them. There is a requirement already because they are using the metaverse. They just want to become more efficient using it. They want to get onto the metaverse. You can help them get onto it faster. So, but it's a productized offering, so you can scale it up as well. The challenge would be the marketing aspect of it, and how are you going to brand and position yourself. On the other front, which is purely agnostic of any development, is virtual real estate. What you could do, this would be kind of a property broker, or it would be kind of a property consultant or a metaverse consultant kind of a role that you could play here, where you do one of two things. One, guide people or guide organizations on how to, let's say, set up things on the metaverse. So, for example, let's say there is one metaverse which is Decentraland. A lot of a lot of product organizations are advertising their products on Decentraland. Now, it is not easy to that you just go on Decentraland and you list your offerings there. You need someone to, let's say, build up your store on Decentraland, build up your or list your offerings there, design the market or design the shop interface and the 3D environment, etc. And all of these can be done through the platform itself, but you need someone to do it for the organization. So you could become a kind of a metaverse consultant there if you have already, let's say, experience sufficient metaverse or experiences, etc. The other aspect that you could do is you could buy virtual land upfront and cross sell it further. So you could sublet or rent this virtual land or virtual spaces that you have bought on design. Probably you buy a virtual land on Decentraland, you design a very interesting looking shop there, and then you sell it to someone already. So it's kind of a property developer or a real estate developer kind of a role that you play here. So again, this is probably a new sort of a business model that is there to explore. So these are a few different business models that people can look at. I'll just pause in case anyone has any specific queries in terms of with regards to these specific business models or any other business model that they've thought of and are probably questioning about. You can just unmute yourself and uh, have a go at the question.
Yeah, Nihar.
Yes.
Yeah, this development services and metaverse tools, they seems to be quite close to each other. Can you please?
So in development services, it is custom offering. So let's say if I'm Reliance or I want to develop a metaverse for myself. So I come and say that, okay, I want a metaverse to do XYZ things for me. You would build it for them. You would develop it. So you'll give your time and offer a services and you would build it for them. You don't have any IP, etc. on it. Whereas in metaverse tools, what you would do here is you would build a tool allowing them to develop it themselves. Now you own the tool, you charge them, you charge a subscription to them for using the tool. So let's say if it's a real estate developer, you would charge them in development services, you would build, let's say, a virtual flat or a uh, virtual real estate property for them and you would charge them for the service that you offer. In metaverse tools, you develop a tool such that the developer or the developers team, as in the real estate developers team, can come on board and build a metaverse themselves. So they are paying you a subscription for the metaverse tools there. On the development services, they pay you a project fee. Now, in development services, the project fees are usually larger. In metaverse tools, you would charge them a small subscription fee because they would be doing all the work. You would just be offering them the tool. Uh, the the benefit is that it is scalable. Now you can offer these to every real estate developer in the world. But if you do in development services, once you build it for one real estate developer, you can't give it to any other real estate developer because you have built it something custom for them.
Right.
So it is not scalable. So I'll cover this again in the subsequent slide. So this is metaverse services that I was, or development services that we are looking at. Here you would do a simple thing. Here you will have a cost plus margin that you would look at. Some of the value addition beyond just the development that you do some ideation with them, integration and solutioning with them. This is where you can, let's say, where you can charge a higher margin, but it is restricted to the cost plus margin framework. So you won't be able to offer it to anyone else. So once you incur a cost and whatever 30-40% margin that you add on top of it, you are not making any more revenue from this project. So this is one of the projects that we worked on, where we created a whole manufacturing setup. A whole manufacturing plant was created in virtual reality. And we had a delivery timeline of 3 months, and we had 10 to 12 people who were full-time involved on this. And we had a project costing of 40 to 45 lakhs for this product. Now, the thing is, the time that my team, the 10-12 person team who spent these 3 months, while they earned me 40 to 45 lakhs in those 3 months, the the issue is now I can't use this thing that I built to make more money. Rather, if this team had gone and developed a product, I would be, now that I have the product, I can continue selling the product over the lifetime of it as much as I could, as I want to. So that is basically a cons for this, that it's a low entry barrier market, so anyone can enter the market. There is cost competition, so people will try to undercut you. So if I'm doing it in 40-45 lakhs, someone will come and say that okay, I can do it in 30 to 40 lakhs. And again, no scalability, but it's an easy market to start, and probably it's a good place to start to understand what are people looking for, what are the things that people want, and if you don't have enough, let's say, capital to invest in a large team, it's a good place to start. You can start developing small things for some of the people. So it's an easy place to start, and often a good place to start and hone your skills specifically. If we move on to metaverse on the products front, now if you look at metaverse products, and here I would refer to B2C products. Here you can offer licenses. So it is like, let's say, a one-time or a recurring license. And if you put it on the store, you usually have a license fee of $20 on the store, or in Indian rupees, it's usually around 1,500 rupees that is offered. Here you provide bite-sized product that the user experiences once. So for example, this example of Beat Saber, the game, it goes for $30 on the Oculus store. They just give you some 10 music tracks that you can play the game upon. So the game is that there is a music track playing, and you do certain moves to cut tiles that are coming towards you. You would have seen the video a few times on the internet probably. uh, they just give you a few 10 odd music tracks. So it's based on the music tracks that you need to do the moves. So here you would have a few tracks that you would see. What they do is they sell add-on packs. Here they say that, okay, they would release an add-on pack of 10 more music tracks, and you probably pay $5-6 more for that music, for those music tracks. They would release another 10. They would offer, they would charge you another $5-6 more for that music track. So you provide a bite-sized product for the user, limited usage. Even let's say if you build a game, in the game you would probably keep it to a play hour of, let's say, some 10 odd hours of gameplay, and that's as much as you offer in, let's say, something around $20. Now this is scalable. So if you look at Beat Saber, in the last 4 or 5 years, they have sold over 4 million units. So 4 million units, that means this game, by just selling it at $30, they have made $120 million in revenue from this, just from this game. I mean, they would have made a lot more because they sell a lot of add-on packs. So it's probably around $200 million of revenue in 5 years that this game has made. Uh, because now it's scalable. So since I have not developed it for anyone, I can sell it as much as I want, as much as I can market it. But then, yes, you need to invest from your end to build a good product front. So that's the entry barrier that is there. Now, and not everyone can build a game as good as Beat Saber. So investing the time and money to build a good product is something that becomes a challenge. So there is a high entry barrier cost, and the marketing cost as well is high because no one has come to you with a need saying that I want an XYZ thing. Rather, you have created something, marketing it to everyone who needs that thing is a cost intensive activity. So that's a cost that is involved. And further, you can go for metaverse products, which are enterprise offerings. Now, enterprise offerings are the ones where you will go B2B. So let's say you will go to a manufacturing organization, as in this is again a product, you have built the product. You would charge something which is a license fee or annual recurring license fee, and you go to let's say a manufacturing setup. So let's say you built a tool for tool to help improve manufacturing, or a tool to help real estate organizations build something in the metaverse, or let's say to create their whole projects in the metaverse or in virtual reality. Now you would go and charge them a recurring license fee. The pricing for enterprise pricing, if you work with the industry, etc., would be between $15,000 to $20,000. So this would come somewhere. This would be um, close to somewhere around 20 lakhs a year in terms of recurring licenses. And then the thing you do is you sell seats. So they would not buy just one seat. Usually B2C organizations will buy 25 to 30 seats for the offering. So let's say if you sell it to a large manufacturer, they would have multiple plants, they would have multiple things to create. So they would usually buy 25 to 30 seats. The parallel for this in today's existing tool, you can look at things like AutoCAD software, or you can look at SolidWorks softwares, etc. A lot of these softwares that are used for 3D modeling, etc. Or you can also look at softwares like um, which are used for industrial planning and industrial monitoring, ERP softwares, SAP, etc. They are sold on seat basis. So you usually end up selling somewhere around 25 to 30 seats. With larger organizations, you might sell more seats as well. Uh, and you can price it as in a total pricing could be somewhere around 20,000 or $20,000 odd for an enterprise-wide offering. Now, a single seat might be more expensive. So if you look at a single seat, it might go as high as if by itself, it might be as high as $1,000 or $2,000 specifically. So that's how, and this is agnostic of any hardware cost. This is purely for your software and licenses. The thing you need to have here is you need to have comprehensive products. You need to have in-depth products and technology to be selling in this way. So which is why it is again an extremely high entry barrier here as well, and extremely high marketing cost and extremely high development cost as well, because you need to be as comprehensive and detailed as possible with your product here. Further, you need to work very closely with your customer itself to build the product up further, because they would be experts in their space. So you need to learn from them on what is the thing that they are looking at. But this is again extremely scalable market, an extremely scalable market. I mean, you can once you create something that is, let's say, bought by one manufacturing organization, you could be selling it to every other manufacturing organization in that same space. If you, let's say, create something for oil and gas, you can be selling to every oil and gas player. So it's extremely scalable, an extremely scalable market. And by itself, the ticket sizes in its specificity are also large. But the entry barrier and the costs are high to get started. But once you do enter, and if you do reach that stage, you can make a lot of growth by following this business model. Again, pausing for, I hope, sir, Ashish sir, I hope I answered your query.
Yeah, definitely, and well elaboratedly.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, any other queries since we have covered the different business models and I tried to give certain pricing, etc., thoughts on pricing, etc. So any other queries?
Good afternoon, sir. I have a small question.
Sure. Yeah, Kano, go ahead.
You told you given concept of virtual something like property dealing and all that. So I just want
Right.
to ask a question. Like
Hmm.
you said, we can buy a raw land from like a
Hmm.
decentralized land, and we
Hmm.
can build some kind of shop, and then we can sell it to someone else, uh,
Yes.
getting our margins and everything.
Hmm.
So I just want to ask this question: like, is there a company who is selling like what is this decentralized land which I can buy so that I can build a shop? Is there a company who is selling land or some kind of area on metaverse, or what is this concept? Actually, I'm completely new to this, so
Okay.
it might be.
Uh, sure. So there are two I would try to show. I will let me just open it up and I will. So there are two couple of. I'll just share my screen for the browser. Yeah, I hope the browser is visible. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it is visible.
there are these are two organizations who are probably doing it already, and there are a lot more if you research. Decentraland is one, and Sandbox is one. Now they have created this whole virtual worlds, which are, let's say, integrated with a social aspect and with, let's say, some gaming aspects as well, where people come and spend time playing, socially interacting with people, and it exists as a virtual world. So, like in Sandbox as well, you will have a virtual world. So there is a map like this. So here, if you look at this, this is now a whole virtual world. This is a map of that virtual world. And if you can look at the logos, etc., these are people and organizations that have bought these pieces of land. So let's say Time Group or Time Media has bought this big a piece of land. Paris, the official, has built or bought that big piece of land. Pokemon has bought a piece of land. I mean, I can see Playboy here. I can see Atari Sandbox is it itself. But all of these organizations have bought pieces of land here, and they have created virtual spaces and worlds, etc. So I'll try to show you what the virtual would look like. So they would have certain building tools which allow you to, let's say, build scenes like this. So you'll build scenes like this. Once you buy a piece of land, you would build a scene like this. And that's where and it's at the moment used for two things, either gaming or a lot of marketing and shopping. So on Decentraland, people have shops like this on Decentraland. So Dress X, let's say, for example, is a retailer for clothing. They have built a shop in the metaverse. So here they are marketing their clothes, etc. You can walk in, and you can walk in and experience their clothes, experience their clothes. Now your avatar could wear and try on the clothes and see how it looks, and hence people would buy it. So let's say again, Sotheby's has built something on the metaverse. So there are again DKNY had its metaverse decentralized metaverse store, and they recently have had a metaverse fashion week as well. So and Samsung is another one who has got in on Decentraland. So Decentraland is one of the organizations or one of the platforms that is allowing you to go and, let's say, build something on their platform. Sandbox is another one. There are a few more. One of the slides I'll showcase again mentions a lot of this. So here you could go out, buy a piece of land, develop a good looking shop, and people could then probably come in and buy it out or buy it off you. Or you could offer to build someone. So let's say there is a local clothing or a local e-commerce brand around clothing. So they could they would want to get into the metaverse. So you could probably already hold a piece of land where you could build a shop for them and offer it to them. So I think that is again a opportunity that is there. Yeah. So I hope I could answer your specific query.
Yeah, completely. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi Nihar, this is
Yeah,
Pankaj Girl, Java at
yeah,
home.
yeah, Pankaj, tell me.
Yeah. So as you have explained this, so the how the people are making money on Centralite and Sandbox, like the companies and also the people who are buying the land there over there.
Uh, See, at the moment, the idea is to get in. People are trying to buy and hold land to get in on the hype before, let's say, it becomes too expensive to get onto it. So
Okay.
it's kind of trading at the moment. People are buying land and selling it to someone at a higher price. So let's say if you had bought land in the central, decentralized district where, let's say, Times Group and Paris, etc., have their stores, and if you have like a smaller piece of land next to it, it will probably be worth a lot more on decentralized itself. The other thing is you use the land to, let's say, allow people to play games. So you can create and deploy games on Sandbox. So you can, let's say, build small games on Sandbox and you can deploy it on this. So here, let's say, Old Skull Games has bought this land. Now, what Old Skull Games is doing is deploying games in this space. So they are making money from people playing the game rather than selling it outright. So there would be certain. So for example, this person here has this white tile and he's listing it for some 9 million or almost 10 million Ethereum. Now this person is just here to make money to cross sell, but probably someone like Web3 Ventures or whoever else here, they are probably offering certain kind of use case. So crypto was is I guess a gaming or a trading kind of a platform where you can play certain trading games, etc. So they would be offering their games, or you could play their 3D interactivities on these plots of land. Or
And
if you are, let's say, a retail brand, then you could sell your products there. For them, it's like a virtual shop.
okay. And also, like, what is the regulatory parameters? Because once we buy and give the money to them, how it
Hmm.
can be ensured that our money is safe.
So the thought is that once you buy a piece of land, you then own that virtual piece of land. So it's the value of the piece of land. So, for example, Decentraland, Sandbox, etc., are running on the Ethereum blockchain, and the Ethereum blockchain. So you need to look at what is the underlying blockchain that they are running. If it's I mean, one of the safest ones are Ethereum, and Polygon are the safest ones at the moment. I mean, they don't have a lot of volatility or the kind of issues that we have seen with some of the other cryptocurrencies that have failed. So that is probably something that to look at is what kind of blockchain, etc., they're looking at. So it's kind of like, let's say, investing in the stock market. So you would have to trust that, okay, the stock market by itself would ensure that you own the stocks. So
That
probably
with
research, yeah,
it regulated by someone such as SABI or someone like that. So
no,
we trust to safeguard our money. But here,
no.
whom to trust?
So no one. So that's the whole idea behind a blockchain is that it's decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that it's a blockchain by itself that safeguards your interest. No, there is no regulatory body as such would regulate it.
And also, is there like there is a limitation if I am buying a piece of land on a Deca land, or if I'm buying a piece on a Sandbox, then I cannot interchange or intersell something because of the
No,
limitation of the platform.
no. So they have now tried to make it. So they have tried to avoid as much. So they have tried to help people interoperate. So what is done is sorry. What is done is you can take this land and sell it on other marketplaces as well. So there are marketplaces like OpenSea. OpenSea is a marketplace where you can sell Decentraland. This is the marketplace OpenSea. So in OpenSea you can sell NFTs, you can sell land from Sandbox, Decentraland, and anyone which is, let's say, on those blockchains. So I think OpenSea largely works with Ethereum. So anything on Ethereum can be sold on OpenSea.
Okay. And one more question, like, my company is looking to get augmented reality on the platform. We have built our website on the Shopify platform, and we would like to inculcate augmented reality, such as you have shown, example for DressX, where people try on. So, like, it is possible only through Metaverse, or we can use 3D models, looking to scale up our startup in future?
No,
What
I
do
mean, you can use 3D models. So I think again, going back to the thing that I spoke at the start, see, metaverse by itself is a concept. So it's like at the end of the day, all of these technologies, this virtual lands, your augmented reality, virtual reality, all become so interconnected that it starts acting like another whole new world itself. So that's a concept. So you can, for your use case, go ahead and have this 3D models on your Shopify platform and have AR enabled experiences through mobile phones, etc. That can be certainly done. I mean, you don't need to have really be on these platforms. I mean, it's a benefit that once you are on these platforms, you probably are reaching to a whole new audience segment as well.
Okay, perfect. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Nihar.
yeah, thank you. Just touching upon, I think since you did mention the regulatory framework, I'll just wrap up with one of the last slides that I have to
Yeah.
cover. Is the legal considerations. So the legal considerations in the Indian market. So other than a lot of the other ethical considerations that security, privacy, and intellectual property. So security concerns and privacy concerns are probably the main concerns. So how are you protecting your users' security and privacy is something that you need to outline as a policy. IP is a concern that people have. Let's say something you build something on a metaverse platform. The
Mm-hmm.
IP, you need to look at what is the regulatory or the policy that the platform has laid out. That who owns what you have built on the metaverse. So all of these platforms that I showed, whatever you build on the metaverse platform is owned by you, not the platform. But
Okay.
if some platform may say that, okay, whatever you build is mine. So
Okay.
that's a regulatory thing that you need to look at. And the other thing in Indian market, any sort of crypto or virtual assets are taxed at 30% of the profit that you make. And while they are not legally recognized, those assets, but any money or profit you make will be taxed at 30% in the Indian market.
I have one more question now. Like, I while doing some research, I come across there is a company called 100 Pixel where they sell the pixels on the website. Is the metaverse will be similar to this, like, in a 3D model?
Yeah, I think it's something similar. I mean, that organization was idea was that they would sell certain pixels or certain portion of the website. It's
Right.
probably a very early take at something like the metaverse kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of similar.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pankaj.
Yeah. Thank you, Neha, for answering my question.
Any other queries at this point?
Yeah, so Nihar, I just
Yeah.
have one question. So as you previously mentioned that you have built like some kind of industry, some kind of factory for your client. So I just want to ask this question, like, how is that industry not different from currently which is available? Like we can make it in Blender or Maya. So how is your that AR VR like metaverse type of industry is different from the?
No, so yeah, Kanan, I got your question. I think so that was just an example for the kind of thing that you could do. It's not different from what you can build in Metaverse Maya. It was just an example that as a Metaverse service provider, you could be doing something like this where you have a real factory which is on ground, which is there, and you can take it and put it in a whole virtual space where everyone can go and experience it.
Okay.
So it's not different, and it was built on, again, it was built through Max Maya, Unity, and deployed and shipped through that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I think then moving on to the marketing aspect for the metaverse, this would be the last thing that I'm covering. So I think the whole challenge here in today's day is is about educating the users. I think because people have heard about the metaverse, people have learned a lot about the metaverse through the internet, etc. But there always exists confusions and exists myths, etc. It is very important to educate your user or potential customer. So you just need to go out and keep interacting with your potential customer, showcasing your product to them, showcasing your uh, skills, showcasing the kind of things that you have done. So attending events or hosting events becomes a critical part of it. Being active on online and social media platforms where you put out thought leadership articles, etc., need to become an important part. You need to develop partnerships with potential organizations. So when we started off in the higher education space, we worked very closely with the likes of IITs and AIMS, etc., working very closely with them to understand how they would look at the technology in higher education because they were the thought leaders in that space. So it is important to develop partnerships. And at the end of the day, again repeating the same thing, educate the user as much as possible on this technology and the kind of services that you are offering in the same. Right, and probably to end, what does the future of the metaverse look like? I think at the current point, it is all while the future vision is that it is one whole comprehensive metaverse with everything encompassed within it. It's probably 10, 8, 9 years away at the moment. Post 2030 is when you would see something called a mature metaverse. At this point of time, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, what people see or what we see is that it is Web3 technology. Web3 technologies would be your cryptocurrency, blockchain, virtual properties, NFTs, AR, VR, etc. All of those technology-based apps, etc., which would be available to people through different forms. Some could be on the web, some could be on the VR devices, some could be like a app on your mobile phone. Till that point of time, it would probably be just a lot of these apps and services that you build. Post that, you would start seeing a advanced metaverse where you try to take a combinative approach, where you start integrating a lot of these things together, working cross platforms, etc., and then probably hope it you are able to scale it up to a mature metaverse, where this is the end goal and end vision, where you have like a whole everything globally super encompassing thing which covers everything. Great. So I think that's all from my end, and I would be happy to take any other queries if there are any. Yeah. Anyone? Any queries?
Yeah, Nihar, thank you so much for giving such a wonderful information. Uh, do you have any your cost estimation also, so that if we want to avail your services, or we want to go with you, so how can we go with you? Like, I have a product line with me, so I want to demonstrate that on Metaverse.
So I think probably Ashish sir, I think it would be best if I could get a sense of what the products are, what the things are, and in what kind of detailed way that we want to look at. I mean, I think best would be probably to have an open-ended discussion without any, let's say, specific focus that, okay, we will build something, but just to understand or probably help whoever wants to build some or deploy these products in the virtual or VR or whatever technology they want to deploy it on what is their vision for deploying it there. So then we could understand best on how detailed we need to go, or probably what is sufficient enough to, let's say, meet those objectives. Because building something complex may not help it. It might be a case that something simple would also be helpful for them. So I think it would be best if we can have a discussion on that, and you can take it separately offline sometime. That okay, these are the XYZ things that we have built, and this is we would like to showcase it in this way. and then we can see how we can probably build it, because that would be the way. And this is probably something that anyone who's building, let's say, services as well for these kind of development things, will probably try to understand what the customer is wanting, and then would be best to arrive at a pricing. I think otherwise it might be that because we have done projects which are let's say as low as a few couple of lakhs to 3-4 lakhs as well, for some very simple or very small thing, to as high as a few CR as well for some very complicated things. So where does it lie in the framework, or where does it lie in the spectrum, is something that I would want to understand. And there might be a case that if it is something very simple, you just need to showcase it. There might be a case that there might be tools which would allow you to do it yourself, just to put plug and play and try seeing it in VR or something of that sort.
Okay, so the people who are connected with me, like I told you, I'm starting with the startups, etc. We are working with startups. So they are coming with their products and their startups. The idea of today's webinar is the same. They should see and understand what exactly is to be done. But then you said ki the first step would be they will be connecting with you, and then they will be explaining what exactly their product and service is. Okay.
Yeah.
So accordingly,
I think you can schedule. You can, sir. I will drop my number to you on message. You can just, or I'll just ask Shailendra to message you my number. You can just connect me with someone and uh, connect me with them, or we can have a common call sometime and understand on what is the thing that they are looking to develop.
Great. Thank you.
Ashish sir, I'm going to give you his number. I'll share.
Sure.
Anything else, anyone? Great. All right. I think it was great sharing my thoughts with everyone. And I think I was also thankful to a few questions that also came around, very interesting questions as well. Yeah, all right. So I think I hope everyone has a good weekend ahead, and hopefully everyone is building on the metaverse as well, because it's, I think, the next wave which is expected, and I hope India and we are among, let's say, on the forefront of building on it in the future. Yeah. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashish sir, for facilitating the call. And I guess do connect with me regarding the other thing as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.